and karibu again to yet another episode of What Does the Bible Say? This is such an exciting program, and today we are talking about yet another parable. Last week we considered the parable of the great banquet, the wedding banquet.
Yeah.
This king had prepared something for his son. The son wants to get married. Marriage is so exciting. And those guys who were invited refused to come. And we saw how God actually went out to the streets and called anyone else in, and just reminding us of how the Jews who Christ came to rejected him. And we who are Gentiles have actually been brought in. We who are far off have been brought near. So guys, karibu. Today we will look at a connection to this parable. And this one is in Luke chapter 14, verse 25 to verse 33.
Yeah.
Yes, and we will be looking at these twin parables about the cost of discipleship. So today we talk about the cost of discipleship. What does it require of us? What does it ask? What does Christ ask of us in our journey of discipleship? So, Brother David, karibu sana.
Thank you.
As always, it is a joy to have you here.
It's a pleasure, man.
And my name is Mathenge Maina. For those who have not watched this show before, we welcome you to keep watching and look at our earlier videos and see what we've been doing for the last few weeks. So, yeah, let's go to the text and see what it says.
All right. So let's look at these parables in the book of Luke, chapter 14, from verses 25 to 33. This is what the word of the Lord says. Large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and turning to them, he said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. And anyone who does not carry his cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has enough money to complete it? For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule him, saying, 'This fellow began to build and was not able to finish.' Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Will he not first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation, while the other is still a long way off, and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple." And that is the word of the Lord.
Praise be to God.
Amen.
Wow, this is a very, very difficult parable. But still, something that is a joy to consider and see what our Lord Jesus Christ is telling us.
Yeah.
So, as always, we'll look at the 4 segments of our study. We desired that all of you would come into inductive Bible study. It's a simple way for considering the scriptures, and I hope that so far it has been interesting for you and perhaps even enriching to your own study, time. Now, starting from verse 25, we'll look at the context first, and then go to observation, interpretation, and then finally the application.
Yeah.
So let's start with the context.
The context.
I always say context is king.
Yeah.
So let's find out who is Christ talking to and what is the surrounding thing that is happening here.
Yeah. So the first thing is that Christ is definitely talking to a large crowd that was traveling alongside him.
Yeah.
And from the previous text and other gospels, we see that people were following Jesus for many, many reasons.
Many reasons.
There are those who are following him because he was an amazing teacher and they would resonate with his teachings. There are the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the scribes who follow him because they wanted to question his authority and knowledge about the law.
Yeah.
There are those who probably were part of the great miracle that Jesus did when Jesus multiplied five fish and five loaves and 2 fish.
5 loaves and 2 fish.
Yeah, and the question was, probably Jesus would just supply lunch for them.
But with this guy, you can never go
wrong with lunch.
Yes.
But again, there are also those who followed him to hear him.
Genuinely.
Whatever Jesus would say resonated with their hearts, and there was an inward transformation that was happening, that they were considering getting to learn from him. And becoming like him and learning from him and following him. Not only as they would follow him when he was moving from place to place, but also executing his teaching in their day-to-day lives.
They call him. Someone, you become a student, a learner.
As a learner.
Yes.
So there are those who were considering that. And Jesus is basically giving us this parable in this lesson and charging them, if truly, truly you want to follow me, there are a couple of things
These
that
are the
you
things
need
that-
to
yeah.
consider.
These are the things you
Yeah,
must consider.
there is a deep consideration, and there are things you definitely need to introspect
Yeah.
before you call yourself
So I don't want
a
a casual
disciple.
following where
Yeah.
wherever I go, you guys are just following me.
Yeah,
If you really want to be my student, sincerely be my student,
Yeah.
then these are some of the things I want you to think about. Wow, let's go and observe those things and see what Christ is teaching us here.
yeah,
Higher. One of the things that I really saw that is curious, 3 times, Jesus gives conditions. One, if anyone. You see, the word if is actually a condition.
Yeah.
If you want this, then this.
Yeah.
So he says, if anyone comes to me, he must hate his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brothers, his sisters. Wow. The word hate there just...
That's a huge word, yeah.
That one jumps out for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's go again to verse 27 and it says, and anyone who does not carry his cross cannot be my disciple. Again, another condition there, that for you to be my disciple, you must carry your cross. So again, the issue of the cross there is something also curious to look at, and maybe we'll look at it in the interpretation bit.
Yeah.
And then finally, verse 33, I say, in the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple. Again, still another condition here, giving up everything. So 3 things here I observe that jump out for me as conditions that Christ is giving. Maybe you can also help us see, is there something you see in the tower and the king?
Definitely, because we see the whole point of Jesus giving this parable,
Yeah.
as you had introduced us very, very well, is that Christ would put up a truth
Yes.
and put a reality, something that we're able to identify with, parallel to that truth,
Yeah.
so that we can be able to understand it very, very well.
An
And in this,
everyday example.
an everyday example. And in this very, very case, he goes ahead to a very, very simple way of doing life.
Yeah.
We all need shelter as one of our basic needs. He goes ahead to tackle the issue of building. If you want to build a house, then you have to count the cost.
Have to consider
And
the
if you do not consider the cost here being the place where you need to build, the materials you need to build, what kind of house you need to build, the size,
Yeah.
and each and everything, the foundation that you need to lay for that building to be successful. And if you fail to do it, then something is going to happen,
Going
which
to
is
suffer shame.
to suffer shame. The
Yeah.
ultimate thing is that you're going to suffer shame.
Yeah.
And then he goes ahead and brings in the whole idea of a king.
Yeah.
If you're going against another king and you are 10,000 men
Less.
you definitely need to consider,
Am I able to take them?
count your losses and count your wins.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood of you winning that war?
Yeah.
And if you know for sure
Yeah, you
that
can't.
you can't make it, then the best thing is to
Ask for
terms of peace.
Yeah.
Not in your own terms, as the king who's just about to lose
Yes.
the war, but specifically, terms of peace according to the king who's just about to win.
To win a
over
war
you.
against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Otherwise, without which,
yeah.
you will suffer a lot of losses.
And for them, then the loss was huge.
Yes.
I mean, they would come, take your men, get to your city, plunder it, take your wife, and probably your wives and children, and make them slaves.
Slaves to them.
So it was, again, losing everything.
Yes.
So you have to definitely count your wins and losses.
Yes.
And that's what we see Jesus comparing this great teaching to.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. Let's go to interpretation and ask ourselves, but what would these things
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean when Jesus is saying, I hate your mother, your father?
Yeah.
What does it mean when he talks about the cross? Because let me just begin with the issue of hate.
Yeah.
It is very counter scripture, where Christ is asking us to
Yeah, to hate.
I think this is the only time I have found him to use that word,
Yeah.
saying this to be directed to other people. So what kind of hate then is this? Because literally we cannot assume that it is the kind of hate that we experience, for which he always says, love your neighbor, love your even your enemies.
Yeah.
How then can you talk about hatred here? So what does hate mean in this context?
First of all, we need to see this word hate in comparison to what Christ is communicating. Again, we can conclude that in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43,
Yeah.
there's that bit where Christ calls us to love our neighbors.
Yeah.
And Jesus in this text goes ahead to say that our love for him
Yeah.
compared to our nearest and dearest, which is our family, our our wives, our
Yeah.
brothers and sisters,
Parents,
even our
yeah.
own lives,
Yeah.
can look like hate.
Wow.
So Christ is calling us to, if you truly want to follow him, then you need to love him more. He's
Way more.
way more. He's calling us for an undivided loyalty, an undivided love. So much so that when our love for him can be compared to our love for our brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
it might seem like hate.
Hatred.
And
As in our
ultimately,
affections for him are so great and so
Yeah.
high that anything else looks like
it looks like hate. But also, he's reminding us that
Yeah.
if it be that we find ourselves in those moments of collision, whereby our love for Christ conflicts with our love for our brothers and sisters, and even our very own lives,
Yes.
then our choosing of him and our obedience to him seems as hate,
To other, oh my goodness.
even to ourselves.
Yes. That even my own preferences, my own loves,
Yeah.
the things that if ever that comes in conflict with God's word,
Yeah.
or in conflict with what Christ requires of me, then I would be willing to take up Christ's side
Yeah.
and reject whatever my parents, my sisters, my wife,
Yeah.
even my
Even
children,
your very self.
even my very self
Yeah.
desire, and choose to do what Christ desires of me.
And that will look like hate.
Wow. Yeah, I really like that, and I see there being a charge for obedience on a very, very high level, a loyalty that is
Undivided. Yeah.
to Christ. Wow. I'm also thinking about the cross here, and I know the cross in that time was a symbol of very gruesome death, for one. Because the Romans used to use death on the cross as the ultimate way for punishing a criminal. That any criminal, the most painful way in which they would die was the cross. And sometimes they would hang there even for a week, just rotting, guys dying every day slowly. For 3 days you are experiencing all that anguishing pain. So the cross here is a very, very powerful symbol that Christ is using. And I'm wondering, is it that kind of level of commitment where he's telling you, carry your cross? Is it not a bit too much to us? Because he's literally telling his disciples, you are ready to die. And then you're picking up the instrument for which you will be killed on. And every day you're waking up and you're saying, for you to follow me, you must carry your cross. You must be not only willing to die, but you will actually face a lot of suffering, pain, and troubles every day. And saying, this you must consider, and consider seriously before you become my disciple.
Yeah, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of guys who are listening to him.
Yeah.
There are many who are following him with different intentions.
Yes.
Only for some of them felt following Christ is a cool thing.
Yeah.
It has its perks of receiving free lunch and seeing miraculous signs. And probably for us in our day,
receiving healing when you are sick.
Yeah, for us in our day, us choosing Christ, we always have this feeling that when we choose to be Christians, our paths will be straight and smooth. Life is going to be good. But again, what we see Christ telling us here is that when you're choosing him and if you truly want to follow him, there's this other side of the coin that you need to embrace, which
be ready
is
to suffer even to
suffering.
Die. Yeah.
Be ready to suffer even unto
death.
And what we see later on is that we see the same hearers in Acts experiencing persecution.
They actually went ahead and died for the gospel.
They ended up dying for the cause. So Christ is calling us to a greater calling. If you truly want to follow him, then you need to consider hating your brothers, your sisters,
carrying your cross.
And carrying your cross.
Yeah, and then there's the part of losing everything. I remember him giving that condition to the rich young ruler.
Yeah.
I told him, hey, dude.
I know you have fulfilled the law
you have
and all.
fulfilled the law. He says, I've kept the law since my youth. And then he tells him, go and sell everything and give to the poor. And the guy walked away sad because he had a lot of wealth. And here he's saying that whoever is not willing to give up everything, ready to trade all, to surrender everything to him, that you are not fit to be my disciple. Wow. And almost in my mind, I'm trying to think, if today I was told to give up all, am I ready? Am I able to give up all? Have I really made a total commitment to God, where if today they were to confiscate everything I own and take away even my very family, my wife, my children, my parents, and say, by the way, we will take away everything from you, we will reap everything from you, and all you need to do is forsake Christ, that I would still be able to say, when I have Christ, I have everything. Even if I lose everything, I still have all because I have Christ. Wow, that's a very, very, very huge ask from Christ. Yeah. So let's also look at the builder and the king contemplating war and ask ourselves, what can the builder in our day illustrate or mean to us?
Well, Christ is basically showing us that if we count the cost in our earthly endeavors, including the necessary things that we have, like having shelter, building a house, how much more should we go ahead and count the cost on eternal things that will last? And he's telling us, if you can count the cost on building your project, building your house, and thinking about these temporal things that are fleeting, how much more should you count the cost on things that are eternal. Things that have eternal rewards, the spiritual blessings that we get in Christ. So he's calling us to embrace this whole attitude. If we're doing this in our physical things that are fleeting, how much more should we do it on matters that are eternal?
Wow, I like that. And finally, he says that if this guy is unable to complete the building, he will suffer shame. And we see some guys who are shamed by Christ who, he says, at the end of the day, they come to him and say, Jesus, we prophesied in your name. And he says, get away from me, you evildoers, I do not know you. So that is very curious for me, because if you have not counted the cost, you will embark on a journey that you will fail to finish, and you will suffer loss, and you will suffer shame if you're not able to complete the task. And then towards the king, the king contemplating war, this guy is coming against you with 20,000 strong. And you're asking yourself, with my 10,000 that I have, am I able to take on this king? The worst thing will be if I am not able to take on this king, as you highlighted earlier, that go and make peace. Ask him, what do I need to do so that you may stop coming against me? And any reasonable king will give you terms of peace. So that's the question that he's asking here. Because if you go against him with your 10,000 and he has 20,000, he will run you over. The guy will finish you, then he will, as you said, plunder you, take away everything you have into slavery, and even possess the land for himself. So if you want to keep what you have, then you better ask for terms of peace. And then just on that, let's jump in directly and talk about the application bit, especially for the unbeliever, and ask ourselves, this illustration of asking for terms of peace, how would it be relevant to us today?
It's very relevant because of this one thing. Our God demands that we should honor him.
Yes.
And when we sinned in the Garden of Eden, what happened is that there was this great gap. Separation that was created. And if God was to come and ask us and put us to account on each and every deed we have done, we fall flat-footed on our own standards in regards to what he requires of us.
His righteous demands we cannot be able
to meet. And what we see is that God has gone to the greater extent of sending his delegation.
And just for the person who does not believe in Jesus Christ, a day is coming when you are going to face the judgment of God. And this king who will coming against you, you cannot meet his demands. You cannot fight against him. I mean, a day when we die and we appear before the judgment seat of God, are you able to meet the demands that he has for you? Are you able to say that I will stand against the king with my righteous works, for example, or with my religiosity and with my good family background, or with my reputation and my good name? Are you able to stand against him with those things and actually be counted righteous? And the answer I can help you with that is that you won't. You won't be able to. So better make peace now. And as you say,
When the King of Kings is afar off.
yes, when he's still far off, when your death is still far off, you are able to make peace with your King. The terms of peace have been laid out. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and live. Now, let's talk about this believer who, for them, talking about the issue of the builder. He wants to build a tower. He wants to follow Jesus. And Jesus is asking for a cost that might look too high. We've talked about hating the cross, giving up all. We may even think of the young ruler who, looked away and said, Mazay, that cost is just too high. What could you tell the believer?
First things first.
Yeah.
The believer should consider whether God is calling him to count a cost that God was not willing to pay in the first place.
Or has not paid.
Or has not paid.
Yeah.
And the answer to that question is Christ is the cost that God had to pay.
Wow.
He went ahead to give his own son, Jesus Christ, on the cross for us.
Yes.
So that by him and through him, we can be reconciled back
to God.
And what we see is that Jesus himself carried his own cross.
He carried the cross when he told us about the cross.
He came to us in human nature.
Humility, even humbling himself.
Even unto death.
Yes.
So that we too might be reconciled back to him.
Back to God.
So ultimately,
the cost of our salvation.
The cost of our salvation is on Christ. And he died a shameful death.
Yes.
He experienced the great pain of carrying his own cross.
Yes. And even being forsaken
by God.
Yes.
And ultimately, he's calling us, follow me, because I have paid the cost.
Like, guys, look at what Christ has already done. He's like, I have paid this kind of cost, and I'm only asking for you for this. Yes. And he has given up everything. He actually forsook his godliness.
Very nature God.
Yes, Philippians chapter 2.
Yeah.
Just go and read all that and then ask yourself, when he asks for this, are you not able to give him? He who gave his life that you may be saved, will you not, O believer, give up your pleasures of sin, align your affections to love him more than even your family? Will you not carry your cross daily? Will you not give up all? Possessions, loves, everything for the sake of Christ. If you are not ready to give up those, he says it, you cannot be my disciple. Wow. I'm so grateful and I'm thankful for your time. Thank you for joining us, guys. We are really delighted that you chose to join us today, and we hope that these words of Christ will actually form in your heart a deep affection and love for God, that you will be willing to pay the cost. Amen. See you next week.